Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is a beautiful 68 degrees outside here in Utah, and it looks to be a wonderful day. We'll see what happens. In today's video, I'm following up on what I talked about in the last video. So if you're not a subscriber and you don't know what happened in the last video, I'm not upset. I'm just disappointed. But definitely hit that subscribe button so that you can follow on any updates that I do of this 2017 Dodge Challenger 392 Hemi Scat Pack Shaker. Back to the topic at hand. Today's video, I'm driving back to the Dodge dealership for what appears to be, I think, the third time this week to try to fix the issue that I've been having with my Uconnect system. Now, for those of you who saw my last video, you can definitely fast forward about a minute, but I'm about to give an overview for those of you who did not see my last video, which you should definitely check out. I've been having a lot of issues with this Uconnect system, and they've kind of varied from a lot of different things. It hasn't been the same thing over and over. Like the other week, for example, and this was really what ticked me off and make me go to the Dodge dealership, was I turned the car off, I walked away, I came back probably 20 minutes later, and my screen was still on. Like, it was as if I hit the screen off button, but you could definitely tell that there was a backlight going on. Like, I could tell the screen was still on. There was no doubting that it was still working. And so that's a big problem, because if I leave for several hours and, you know, park it at work or wherever, and I come back several hours later, if that screen is on, there's a good chance my battery will probably be dead. And there's nothing else on in the car. The car was completely shut off. I don't know what happened. So what I ended up having to do is pull the fuse out in order to shut that screen off. Now, some other issues I've had with the Uconnect system is like the backup camera won't turn on when I throw it into reverse. Another issue I've had is when I've had the Sirius satellite radio on, the stations won't change. I can't change the volume. I'm just stuck on Taylor Swift. And it's not my fault. It's my car that chose the channel. It's not me. Apparently the Challenger's a huge Taylor Swift fan. I don't know. But anyways, those are just some of the issues I've had with my system. And it's really upset me because it's kind of frustrating that a system doesn't work. Like, there's nothing I hate more than when technology doesn't work. And unfortunately, it never really works ever. So that's kind of a problem I've always had with this car. And so that's why I'm taking it to the Dodge dealership. The first time I took it was Saturday. They said that they would be able to update it, and that should fix all the answers. It's like the end-all be-all update. It's an update from God that he fixes. Apparently my car can fly after this update, and I can turn it into a submarine. I mean, it's already half boat, so I guess I could just go all the way with a submarine with this update. But they promised they get this update done, and then I went in on Monday because they didn't have the guy that could download it on Saturday. So I went on Monday, and they told me that, oh, they can't do the update because they can't download it onto their USB drive for some reason. And so they had to get some tech. He's apparently the Houdini of Mopar products, because apparently he did this fix on Jeep Grand Cherokee that had similar issues. And so he's actually going to be in town, or I guess at the dealership this week. And so he's going to help fix my car and download this software update, which will hopefully fix all the issues I'm having. Now, I'm kind of skeptical, but we're going to play it by ear and see how it goes. They said that they won't replace my Uconnect system unless I do this update first. If that update doesn't work, then they'll go ahead and do a full Uconnect replacement. Now, I think this was some interesting information. So I know a lot of you out there have the same issues with your Uconnect system. It glitches, there's you know, lagginess, there's a lot of problems with Uconnect. Nobody's gonna say it's a perfect system. And I know a lot of you out there have had the same issues. Well, I heard from somebody that you can actually, even if your warranty is expired, you can go to the Dodge dealership and get this fix done for, now I'm gonna wait for those of you who haven't subscribed to the channel yet to click that button before I reveal the amount. I'm waiting. All right, so you can get that software update fixed for only about $100. So if you have a Challenger or Charger or any car with the Uconnect system and you're experiencing similar glitchiness and problems, even if you're out of warranty, you should still be able to go to the Dodge dealership and get this software update done for about $100. Now, don't quote me on that because they didn't tell me that number. That was something I heard from somebody who heard it from somebody. Should be able to get it done for $100, which I think it's worth it, because if it fixes all the problems like they say it will, it's definitely worth $100 to do, because I'd rather do that than replace the entire Uconnect system. But for now, we're headed to the Dodge dealership for a third time. I'm going to do a quick overview. This is the Uconnect system I have right now. It's kind of the same that a lot of cars have. Like I said, if you have any Mopar product, you probably have a variation of this. So we're gonna load the performance pages. Here's my timer information. There's my best time. We got the gauges here. Peak G-forces. Now, the reason I'm going over all this information is because I don't know if Dodge is going to replace the entire Uconnect software, if it's going to look totally different, or if it's going to be exactly the same. It's just like the background software, not the stuff that you actually visually see, but some of the back end stuff that it's going to fix so the glitches go away. But without further ado, since this is YouTube and we can time travel in YouTube, we're going to get there in about 1 second. And we made it to the dealership. Third time's the charm, right? Also, folks, if you've never seen a sunrise before, there it is. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's amazing. Man, they're packed today. Wow. All right, so it has been about 10 hours. I had the car at the dealership all day and I just picked it up. So what's the verdict? Is the issue that I had with my Uconnect system fixed? Well, it's hard to tell right now. I mean, in all honesty, the system looks exactly the same as when I dropped it off. The only difference was right now, if you can tell in this photo, the background is like this honeycomb red stripe color in the back. That's just the theme. Now, when I just turned the car on, the theme was a little bit different. It was actually like the basic theme. It was just gray with like gray lines and stripes across the screen. That's the only difference I noticed right off the bat. Everything else is pretty much exactly the same. Now, I have seen some Hellcats and you know, the newer Scat Packs and stuff with a different software. So honestly, I can't tell. I mean, I thought it would be probably looking more like that, but it looks to me like it's the exact same software I had when I dropped the car off. Now, I'm assuming they did the software update because they told me they did, and also because that theme was a little bit different, but I think there might have been one extra option when I turned the car on. There was like a racetrack mode or something. I didn't get that. I'll have to try that again and see if it pops up, but that was the only thing that's different. So they could have fooled me and said they did the software update when in fact they didn't. But as for whether the glitches have been fixed, well, that's a whole different story. It's hard to tell. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, these issues weren't the same thing over and over. It wasn't like I always had Sirius satellite XM radio issues. It wasn't like the backup camera would never turn on. It was really just kind of sporadic. So I never really knew when it was going to happen, but when it did, it was really frustrating. And it would only happen once or twice, you know, maybe 3 or 4 times tops per month. So it wasn't like it's a recurring issue that I could definitely check in and say, yep, this issue has been fixed. So what I'm actually going to do is wait a few days, wait it through the weekend and play around with it. I'm going to touch all the different buttons, see if it works, see if it glitches on me. Right now it seems a little bit slower than when I dropped it off, at least in like changing the pages, but that could be just because I just started the car and it's loading all the screens up and all the data, so that might not be related to the software update, but I'm going to play around with it for a few days and see what happens. If at the end of this weekend I'm noticing some other glitches and just some annoyances, then I will say that the software update didn't do anything. But for now, it's hard to tell. So the next clip will actually be me a few days later actually talking about the software update and whether it fixed the issues. So thanks to the power of YouTube, it has been 6 days since I got the software update, and you can believe me because clearly I got a haircut. So has the software update fixed the issues I've had with the Uconnect? Well, so far so good. It seems like it has. It's hard for me in the last 6 days to really make sure that the glitches I had or the issues I had are really solved. But I did drive this car a lot this last weekend and the past several days. I probably put about 500 miles on it. And I've gone through a lot of different sub-menus, and I've changed the volume, I've changed stations, I've clicked all the different apps and everything like that. And so far, it seems like I'm not having any issues. The entire system actually looks exactly the same to me. It doesn't look like it's any slower or laggier, but it doesn't look like it's any quicker either. You know, you click a button, it takes, you know, maybe a quarter of a second to load, and the performance pages just take just as much time. Finally loaded. But all the other sub-menus, all of them work about the same. I mean, there's no difference. They're just as quick. The U apps works exactly the same. You can still move it around. Even these little icons look exactly the same like what I had before. So I'm really not noticing a difference. The only thing I noticed that was different is when I turned on the car, the little honeycomb in the background was like these gray stripes. And I'm about to cut to a clip. When I turn the car on, there's this one small sub menu that shows up that I've never seen before. That is new, and I don't know what it does. It's like some secret function. I don't know. Click on it, it doesn't work, but maybe if I click on it enough times and I type in some sort of passcode, my car will turn into a jet fighter. That actually sounds pretty plausible. That's the only difference I've seen, is those stripes and that one little sub menu. Everything else is exactly the same on this car. So like I said, it looks like the software update worked and fixed some of the issues I had, which was the volume being stuck, not being able to change stations, the backup camera not turning on, the screen not shutting off when I left the car. Those seem to have been fixed, although those issues were kind of sporadic before. So what I'm gonna do is, over the next several weeks and possibly several months, I'm gonna monitor the system and make sure that all those issues I had before are truly fixed, and that it isn't just coincidence that as I'm making this video, none of these issues are appearing on the screen. And I'm gonna report back to you via Instagram and via the YouTube channel. So if you're curious, that's why I'm saying you should subscribe so that you can follow these updates, and also find me on Instagram at Schwazy_, because I will be posting updates about any technical issues I'm having with the system on my story and just on the news feed. And that brings me to the next part of my video, which is if you're having similar issues with a Uconnect system, I would recommend you go to the dealership and have them install this update. Whether it works or not, well, only time will tell. But I do recommend doing that, especially before your warranty expires, just so that you have that as a precaution. And if unfortunately you don't have a warranty anymore, I would still suggest you go in and get that issue fixed with a software update. And according to my sources, it'll probably cost you between $100 and $200. And I'm sure each dealership is going to charge their own prices, but it gives you kind of a ballpark idea of how much it's going to cost. I do want it noted that the Uconnect system is not perfect. And for those of you that are interested in buying a Mopar or FCA product, I would just suggest that you're aware of this going into the purchase. I think I was, and to be honest, this system performs probably better than I thought it would, because there's a lot going on. I mean, you have your climate control here, you've got your radio, performance pages. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on, and just like any computer, there's bound to be problems. Now, I didn't have problems with my previous Mercedes, but that system was a lot simpler. I didn't control the climate through the screen. It was more of the buttons down here, the physical buttons. And so, although I didn't have issues, that was a much simpler system. I don't know about new BMWs and new Mercedes and how their system works and if it glitches or not, but in my opinion, I think that those would probably work better. At the same time, you can get this system in a $20-something thousand SXT, Charger, or Challenger. And so you can't really expect for it to be perfect when it comes on cars that are much less expensive. Now, do I think they should upgrade it for like the Hellcats and the Demons and all those? Yes, they probably should have worked out some of those kinks, but in order for us to get 707 horsepower or 840 horsepower, for under 100,000, they're gonna have to cut costs somewhere. So I think the Uconnect system actually does a pretty bang up job considering all these other things. So just know that going into it, it's not going to be perfect, but it works pretty well. Now, the one thing that I still haven't figured out that hasn't really been fixed, that's my passenger side door. Now, maybe I'm just being a little whiny. I'm usually pretty whiny, and maybe I'm just being an idiot. I'm kind of an idiot. But to me, it seems like the door doesn't open up or react as quickly as I want it to. And I'm about to show you a clip of the passenger side door, and this is me right after the software update going up and seeing if the problem I had was fixed, because the issue I'm facing is every time I come up to the door, it takes a good like half a second to a second for the door sensor to recognize that there's somebody there with a key in the pocket in order for it to unlock the door. Now the driver's side, that side actually does pretty well. Although after the update, I feel like it's gotten worse. But anyways, that side actually opens up pretty quickly. As soon as I put my hand there, it opens up. The passenger side, I've always had kind of a slow reaction. Ever since day one, I grabbed this car, it's always had that. And so I thought the software update would fix it. I told them about it. They guaranteed that it'd fix it. And it doesn't seem fixed. So let me know your thoughts. Let me cut to that clip now. Now, if you can see in that video, it seems like it's just a little bit slow. Maybe I'm being a little bit too picky. And maybe it's not that big of a deal, but I want to hear your thoughts. When I mentioned this to the Dodge mechanic, he said actually his driver's side is like that. His passenger side is quick, but the driver's side takes like a good half a second for it to open. And so he voiced a similar concern that I did. So I want to hear from my audience. What do you guys think? Do you have similar issues with your Dodge Challenger door handles? Is it a door handle issue? Is it a software issue? Or am I just being a little too nitpicky? But that is really the only thing I've noticed since the software update that hasn't really been fixed. Everything else, only time will tell. But for now, I give it a thumbs up. I think it's a good job and it didn't cost me anything because I was still under warranty. But that is all I have for you guys today. I do want to give a quick shout out to Jeff Giles. Hopefully I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. He did a really awesome article on KSL.com. Now, KSL is our local news channel here in Utah. It's Channel 5 News. He did an article about my Dodge Challenger and about this channel, and I want to give him a huge thank you for doing that article and featuring this car and myself on KSL on the front page. That was really awesome. If you guys are interested, definitely check it out, and be sure you check out his other articles. He's made an article on the Stradman. He's made one on an awesome Viper here in Utah. So he just covers a lot of different cars and automotive businesses here in the state of Utah, and he does an awesome job. You guys are going to see him on Car and Driver and Motor Trend just a few years from now. So definitely check it out if you guys are interested on KSL.com. This car was on there and Jeff Giles is his name. So huge thanks to you, Jeff. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you like, share, and subscribe for more content because I will be giving you updates. We're going to be doing some cool stuff with this car, so definitely stay tuned for that. And find me on Instagram at Schwazy_. I post pretty cool photos almost on a daily basis, so definitely check that out. And I will catch you all at the next video. Take care and have a wonderful day.